with me, I have a very scrumptious mama or mama to be again, Genevieve. Welcome to the Scrumptious Woman.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to talk to you again and hang out. It's going to be so yummy. Thank you.
I love it. Our paths have crossed and intermingled and in quite a few ways. There's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of things in our work that we are passionate about. But I'd love to focus a little bit on you and pleasure, right? Because Genevieve Pleasure. Hit, hit it there.
Yeah, that's everything, right? Here I am, 8 months pregnant and planning my birth, which is going to be at home. And it's so funny. I was just speaking to my midwife and I was like, I think we're just going to bring me into lots of orgasms and that'll be how the baby comes out. The midwife was like, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's really, to me, this big missing link in our culture. And it's a very revolutionary thing to say, like, I'm actually putting pleasure first, rest first. I've been resting so much, which to me is a version of pleasure. Like self-pleasure sometimes is a nap, the same thing. And it's anti the way that I grew up. And so for me, it's a very personal thing. Being such a high achiever and learning how to rest has been big, and learning how to put pleasure first has been big, and then helping other people experience the full range of their expression. Like we can have so much expression. There's an artistry to our bodies that is just so exciting for me to watch. Yeah.
Pleasure must be rest. Where people that are here, they're like, oh, self-pleasure. We're talking about friction and quickly moving around our clit and maybe using a dildo and some tools. And so, whoa, your body is not quite ready for that. Let's break it all the way back to what has you feel safe, because without creating that safety first, we just can't even, we're numb, we can't feel.
Yeah, there's the baseline that we miss, right? And as a culture. And it's because we're just taught that sex and pleasure should be fast and go right to climax. And I don't know. I know you know how this feels, but there's like such a delight when you're surprised by arousal. You're like just resting, napping, hanging out, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'd really love to play right now. That's to me the authentic pleasure that's way more available to us instead of, okay, my partner's turned on or I'm having a self-pleasure session. And so I'm supposed to figure out how to get myself from 0 to 60 right now. And then what happens is the body actually starts to get really tired when we do that to it over and over again. It also gets angry. The body will start to hold tension and all sorts of things. I know this, my body had this. And so the rest piece of it, the safety is such an important key that I think is really going to can really transform people's sex lives and pleasure lives and all sorts of things. We're missing it.
Completely. And I love that it's, part of your arc, your orgasmic arc. It's probably the foundation that I teach in. Come back to your safe place, or let's create your safe space, right? Because most people don't actually have that foundation.
Yeah, especially around sex, right? Like this is a women, right? Scrumptious Woman Podcast. I see with most women, there isn't a space of you can just hang out. Like sex doesn't have to mean this performance, or you're supposed to learn these things or do these things, or your body's supposed to act a certain way. Like pleasure and sex can literally be you sitting around, lying down, resting. And that's the baseline that I think most women didn't ever get to move through. We didn't have that initiation as teenagers and early adulthood. And so we're like the reclamation of pleasure to me is going back there and saying, hang on, I can actually say slow down or wait, or I'm not ready. All sorts of things like that. Yeah. So I was just working with a client yesterday who was telling me that she gets really aroused and then they start to have sex and she feels it's like painful. And so she just goes into kind of dissociation and she's just waiting for it to be over. She's thrilled that her partner, this is a partner they've been together a very long time. So for her, it's like when they have sex, it feels like she's winning something, just the psychological aspect of that, of we're still doing this. But she says she just grips and holds. And I started talking to them and working with them. And I was like, we could actually wait longer. Like we could wait for your body to be ready. It doesn't have to be within the first 5 minutes. There's also, and she was like, really, I don't have to just slap on lube and just take it. And he was thrilled. He was like, I don't want her to be doing this. I just thought it was our anatomy. There's so much miseducation around this that I think it's a lot of the work, right? It's just saying, actually, you don't need that. And you do. And this is great to do. And why don't you try this?
He's winning, right? Because I was on TV a few months ago and I had this VIP couple. And when I said to them, it sometimes takes 40 minutes for a woman to get aroused.
Yeah.
Penetrated. He's like, fuck that. I don't have time for this. And you could just see her whole body start to grip. And I just looked at them like, did you notice what happened in her body?
Yeah.
He's like, no. And one of the camera crew was on it, of course. And I just said, here, just track that. When we hear this over and over again, time for that loads into the body, right? And then it like grips, creates disease, creates like nice little bits that are uncomfortable.
Yeah. And that's sometimes quickies and hot, quick sex is hot. And like my partner and I are in a very kinky relationship. And sometimes it's just like 5 minutes before he has to go to work. And then he says, good girl, and leaves. But it's fantastic because, right. I said, thank you, daddy. And he goes off to work. But it's fantastic for us because he understands that my arousal doesn't just start inside of the bedroom. And so by the time that he's actually doing the quickie on me, right, I've been begging in my body for hours. I've been waiting. Yeah. And so there's ways of having sex. I think a lot of people think of like normal life, right? I work mostly with people that have been together for a long time. So we're just taking care of the kids. We're doing the chores. So they're just having normal life. And then there's like a mode they're supposed to switch into. And I'm always so curious about how can we just make that more like it's one big soup of pleasure, even the taking care of the kids or the making the lunch or the whatever you're doing, the taxes, the financial talk. Can it still be hot and sexy and be a part of pleasure? Can you take time for you when you're walking to the grocery store that's like really sexy so that you feel like you're in your pleasure all the time? So that's I think it's one of those things we put like sex is like this thing over there, and I always want to see it brought more into our day-to-day life and fuse our worlds a little bit more.
And then can you walk to the grocery shop? Can you do your groceries and just even take a little bit of breath, maybe do a few pelvic squeezes, whatever, or sway your hips in a way like, oh, this kind of feels hot. What can you do just to have more fun with it, right? Because it might just be throwing things in a basket really quickly. It's like, oh, that was fun, or putting them back out. That pattern interrupt of bringing more joy into your life so that you can be more present. So it's not just a monotonous.
Yeah. Adulthood is crazy, and it's a long span of our lives, right? That we're doing all the things with the to-do lists and the caretaking and all the things. And so it's because this is such a big part of our lives, it's like we have to get really strategic with how we're going to make it not just feel like we're checking off our to-do lists and trying to make our marriages stay together and all those silly things, right? It's like how much more alive can we feel inside of ourselves? And you can be so playful with it. Like it's so possible to be that playful. Like what you said, it's great.
And I love this. So you have also linked pleasure with aliveness.
Yeah.
So I got into Facebook and Instagram jail for using sensuality and using the word pleasure. So I called it scrumptiousness.
Yeah.
It feels the same when people are like, oh, scrumptious is usually something yummy. I'm like, kind of like bypass those the rhythm, but that is what it is, right? Where can it just be more joyful? Where can it have that life force, that chi that's moving through us
Yeah.
already?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also, I'm thinking about the birth a lot, so this is what I keep thinking.
Yes.
But obviously, the baby is about to come out. But I even in the moments where I know I'm going to be experiencing intense sensation, which people would say is pain, right? This is my second baby, so I have an idea of how it rolls. I know that sometimes pleasure is also about meeting the edge of that, right? And finding I'm in pain today, or I feel sad today, or I have an injury. I fell off of a New York City bus yesterday. This is wild. I know, into people because it's New York. It's fantastic. But I have this big round belly, and so I didn't see myself walking down the stairs. And it was split second, too much to even really have that much trauma around, right? Because it was so quick. But I do remember someone pulling out their arms, and I don't know if it was a man or a woman or what they look like, but they caught me. So my body was like, oh, okay, and I could rest in there. And now I have a sprained ankle, right? Which is not the most delightfully pleasurable. It's not one that you're like, ooh, this is what I want on a Monday. But I was sitting with it and I was like, gosh, even in the sitting there on the side of the street in New York City, and I was surrounded by women, pregnant women just come right over if they see you crying or doing anything. I was so held and I was surrounded by women and I was sobbing. And I looked at one of them and I was like, I just cry a lot. I'm in pain, yes, but I just like to cry. And she was like, yeah. And we just had this moment where we're like, this moment too is pleasurable. And it felt like this kumbaya circle where all of us were, I was in like 8 out of 10 pain, but we were all so connected around the experience because we were so present. No one was trying to figure out what to do next or what I was going to do, like where I was going to go. No one was trying to ask me questions. We were just all crying and feeling. And that felt similar to how sex would feel. I know that's such a strange thing to say, but it was a similar feeling of relief.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then when my partner came and I was like, oh, it's like an orgy now. Now I've got him here and all the women, like you could feel all their bodies relax because he was there now with his manliness and his little ice wrap. And it was just such a beautiful moment. And so to me, I think sometimes in pleasure teachings, we think we have to be happy all the time or be in pleasure all the time. And my life is very far from that. It's not like I'm always walking around, this tastes good, this feels good, this is delicious. Sometimes it's like, ow, ooh, oh man, I'm sad. I've got to cry, I've got to scream. And to include that in your experience of pleasure and maybe even like aliveness versus pleasure, right? That's the real sex. Like sometimes I'm having sex and I'm crying and I'm screaming. I'm not always delicious. Sometimes there's alchemy moving through me. And I think it's just that most of us live on this binary of good, bad, pleasure, right? And so you start to smush it all together, right?
Very sensational, but all the sensation, very sensational, might not be that pleasurable. Might not be like, oh, I like that. It's like your body's starting to defrost a little bit. So there are all these new sensations that are coming up. You're like, wow, I don't have a pathway for that. I don't have language for it. I don't know where to put it. I don't know if it's good or bad. And we like to box things in, right? And it's just, what about we can just stay with the sensation? I remember you taking me through your pleasure challenge, and I was like the demo model, and like, of course, I've played before, so I'm like, whoo, and laughing and crying and snot flying and body moving. And I just remember Alex, my partner, looking at me. He's like, oh, he knows that I respond like that, but he hadn't seen it being used just on Zoom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Across the world. Oh, I forgot she is that. She can feel that much.
Yeah. And that's all it is. It's just how much can we open ourselves up to feeling everything right now? That's really it.
Oh,
And
and
that's the fact.
going on in the world at the moment, and then you're pregnant, bringing this beautiful new child in the world, and really being present to what is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why pleasure to me is such a spiritual act. It's not like
Completely.
not spiritual woo, but it's, I know time is always ticking, and we're mortals, we're mere mortals. And I think we forget this. And to me, it's this feeling of like, when I die, how do I want to do it? Like, how do I want to have lived knowing that I'm not going to be in this body experiencing myself as Genevieve for eternity? That's gonna shift. And so this hard moment, this painful moment, and I think there's a misconception. I know I definitely had this at the very beginning of my career, where I would look at people who seemed to be in pleasure all the time, and it really looked like their life was just always amazing. Like, it was like they're at the beach, they've got all this money just stuffed away in pockets, like they've got, like they're just floating around on like Twinkies and yummy gumdrops. And I was like, I can't have a good life, because my life, I can't be in pleasure. My life doesn't look like that. I'm in New York City. I'm a hustler. There's a different vibe here. I was a single mother back then. And I was like, hang on. Maybe it's different. Maybe it's not so much about the circumstance. And it really isn't, because you and I have seen this in our clients too, that the beauty of the work that we do is we get to go inside of people's worlds. And they teach me so much, because I go, oh, you seem to have everything set up for you, and we're lacking pleasure, or we're lacking gratitude, or we're lacking connection. And it's such a big reminder for me of, it's always just about this moment right now. How do I want to take it on? Like, how do I want to make love to it? What do I want to do?
Right, your first book, Fuck Me Open, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, fuck yourself open. Yes.
But that really reminds me of, like, how can we just be opened every time, again and again. Yesterday I was taking my mastermind and a membership that I have through a frequency attunement. I used to do attunement, and I've added a few things to it. And it's half an hour session, and people were going through the same thing. There's a lot of safety coming up for everyone. And at the end of it, two or three of them were saying, oh my God, that was really sexual. When safety is established in the body, pleasure starts rising, or the availability, that path to bring pleasure in, all of a sudden, it's like just a breath, or just listening to someone's sound, or listening to the music. Then all of a sudden your body starts to move. It's, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And to me, I look at nature, and it reminds me, it's the soil is what creates the beautiful trees, and all the flowers. Without a rooted soil, we're not going anywhere. And when I see people trying to fix relationships and fix sex and relationships, I go, how comfortable do you feel to just be totally yourself with each other? Can you be really deeply safe? And a lot of the times the answer is no. So it's like, all right, so we're not even going to try to have sex right now. We're going to work on the other piece. We're going to soften into this safety. I'm doing an arousal course right now, and that's the thing that's the biggest thing. Is so often I see couples that will tell me secrets that they're not telling each other. And I go, hang on, you're not trying to have sex with me. Go tell your wife, right? Like, this is the person that you can have this safety with. And it's just having the courage and the bravery to go, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to create this safe space for myself. Because often people are very willing. It's just, we're just used to these like childhood programmings. If it's not safe, I can't share this. This isn't okay. And so once we start to learn, hey, let me try this, it's amazing. You usually get beautiful results.
And the beauty is that these people, you and I both, have chosen each other
Right.
a long time ago. They have jumped through all these hoops. They've had beautiful children together. They've ticked all the boxes, and yet now they can't get back there. And it's like, okay, let's take sex off the
Yeah,
table.
exactly. Because again, it's this natural rising, right? It's like the flower blooming. It's not this thing we have to get to make our relationship okay. First, we make the relationship so yummy and scrumptious right? And so safe. And then from there, bloom, all of a sudden you crave your partner. It's always how it works, right? It's the beauty of that. People don't believe me, I think. I mean, that's a hard thing to help people with, because I think they think attraction is going to be like when you're in your 20s and someone just blows your socks off and you're just like, oh my gosh. And like sometimes it's like that. And also sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I love you so much. I feel so myself. Let's play here. And that's an attraction I don't think a lot of people have had an experience of. So it's tricky to talk about it before people experience it.
Completely. And I also love that you and I both came from a BDSM background, and yeah, where we've actually seen people actually want to have the deepest intimacy and show us their secrets.
Yeah.
Being so willing to do that and open to that. And then you get to marry people that are just like, he, she, blaming the finger. Yo, let's back.
Totally. Yeah. And it's just, we just don't talk about it. It's normalized to not talk to your partners, talk to your friends instead. It's become that nowadays. And I think most people, when they're married, most of them are lonely. Most of them wish that they had their partner as a best friend. And it's just the challenge of creating that, especially with wounding around masculine, feminine, and all sorts of things. There's a lot of navigation of, we're going to create this unity, even though we're both scared, even though it's really scary to be this vulnerable. That's the sexiest thing to me. Like when I see couples doing that, I'm like, oh, you guys are going to have the hottest sex. I'm not even worried about you. Right? Like the fact that you just cried in front of your wife about something, like that's it. It's going to be so sexy. Like, I'll just sit here and wait.
People come to you and they expect like a quick fix. They're like, give us 5 tips on how to have good sex.
Yeah. I give them the 5 tips, but they're not easy tips. And the first one is to establish safety and vulnerability, like we're talking about, which for some couples takes a very long time. Some people, I can get them doing it quickly. If I infuse plant medicine, that's easier, right? Truth serums. But that's the work, is that level of yes together. And then from there, you get creative. The other thing I think couples forget is that if you've been together for 45 years and you've seen everything with each other, we get to be really creative with arousal. It's not like we're just going to be sipping tea and then all of a sudden be like, ooh, the way he just smiled at me. That's not what happens after 45 years. That's like the first couple of years, the first couple months even. And so it's the creativity of role play and toys and different types of touch and change of setting and scenery and understanding your body. That's what creates the pleasure with one another. It's like, how creative can y'all be, instead of just waiting and going, well, they're not turning me on still. So those are the first 2. And honestly, most couples, getting them through those first 2 tips that's enough. And there's ways to make it even sexier and even more, but those 2 are the ones I'm doing the most work around.
Safety, and for me, it's curiosity. For you, it's creative. It's exactly the same thing, just different words for it.
Yeah. And the reason it's important too, like Andy and I, we have sex often as like a laboratory to see how our days are, see how our energy is. For us, it's not just like sex as a place to get to, but as like an exploratory lab. He comes home from work, I haven't seen him all day. And when we're naked and it's just our bodies talking, it's like we know each other on a language that's deeper. And if he's moving through something and he stops and he needs to breathe, or if I'm moving through something and I stop, I need to breathe and I need to cry, to me, I still consider that sex. And so we have a rule where we have time together with our bodies we don't go more than 24 hours. Like we're very prioritizing of our bodies, because we have a million children and live in New York City, and it's just, there's too much, right? And so how are we going to be married for the next 50 years? For us, it's this every single day coming together in unity and really learning each other on a level beyond the mind. And so to us, it's not like the place to get to. It's this, I'm in a lab with you and I want to understand you more, and let's see who we are today, right?
And the beauty is that the only aim is connection.
Yeah. Right.
there's penetration, no penetration, if there's touch, if we're just eye gazing, whatever, we're just naked together in the same space. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But we're actually connecting.
Yeah. And to give everyone a tip, because they're always like, we never have time. How do you do that? First really easy tip, I'm sure you say this all the time, is get off of your screens. Like stop watching your show every night. That could be when you're doing this. Because people think watching the show is connective, and I'm like, it's not connective. This is connective. But honestly, what we do, because we have 3 children, about to have 4, and all our animals, and our days are really busy, we have an alarm set for 5 o'clock in the morning, which sounds ridiculous, but we know our kids are not waking up until 6. They won't get up until then, at the very earliest. So we have at least an hour. And sometimes the alarm goes and we just roll over and cuddle. We're like still so tired, and we're just, maybe there's a little bit of petting. Sometimes one of us is ready to go, right? And it's so nice to have that hour and to know this is our hour and no one can disturb us. And then the sun's coming up. It's really beautiful. So easy tip for people, that extra hour of sleep, to us, it's way more worth the connection than the extra hour.
Every morning, Alex and I, every day he makes me coffee in exactly the cup that and he wants to be on his screen while he drinks, and I'm just watching outside start to light up. And then we always do the New York crossword puzzle. We often shower together.
No.
It's just that connection. And it's not sex, but it is real intimacy and being close together. And then the questions will come up, and I'll say, okay, can we now put away the screens? And just there's always 2 questions. Okay, what's your intention for it today? What do you want to bring in? How do you want to feel? And it's like, and then first thing's always, I'm grateful for waking up, for having the dog crawl into bed at one point when we're doing the puzzle, for you bringing the coffee, and just actually for me being able to receive it. Because when I wake up early, I'm like, I'll do it. And he's like, no, I like doing it.
Yeah. And that's the ritual, right? If we're living the same adult life over and over again for decades, and we're not going to have it, right? To create that daily ritual makes it so special and so sacred, and every couple can do it differently. And I love yours. Thank you. That was really warm to feel the 2 of you. I could imagine it.
We change it up from time to time. It's always fun when I travel because he does everything by himself, and I'm like time zones and everything. But it's my darling, let me know and let the listeners know how they can get in touch with you, what's coming up in the new year. Obviously, you're going to have baby, your second one, and your 4th one together. I've got 4 kids, so I know exactly what it's like.
We love it. Yeah, so we have, if you go to orgasmicarc.com, but the O is a 0 because of censorship. It's like you using Scrumptious, 0, orgasmicarc.com. You'll see everything there. It's a very easy way to find all the courses and media. My books are there. Podcasts that I've done are there. But my favorite thing for people that are just starting with my work, that might be resonating with how I'm speaking about things, is to do the self-pleasure challenge, because it's very accessible and very easy. So it's audio only. It's just my voice. And you can do it driving a car. Like, you can have dropped your kids off and you're just sitting there and you have the earbuds, and it's only 15 to 20 minutes a day, and it's for 10 days, and then you're done. So it's super simple, super easy. And you'll see that on the website. It's like the first thing there, but that's always my favorite go into, because it just gets you immersed in experiencing pleasure as a day-to-day experience, instead of something that you just reserve for retreats or whatever else, vacation, right? Yeah.
Love it, love it. And I love that it's 15, 20 minutes. It's audio only. We don't have to sit on a screen, be watching stuff anymore.
No.
I think all after COVID, we've come away from master classes like this. Let's actually just fit it in where it fits into my
Yeah. I love, there's nothing wrong with listening to me talk about your pleasure while you're walking down the street. Like, why? That's such a beautiful addition to your day. And then when you go pick up your kids or meet a client for lunch or something, you'll be in a different vibe. And so that's what it's about for me, really. That's the beauty, is how do we translate this into our living, waking lives? Yeah.
Absolutely. It has been a pleasure. Have the best, beautiful birth. And I'm sure there's going to be another book that's going to be birthed around natural orgasmic birthing. I'm sure there's a program or something coming through you because I can already feel it.
Yeah, we're planning on lots of media because I want women to know this, right? They get to have this too.
It just doesn't have to be a contractive experience. It can be just so beautiful, which will also impact the baby, right? All right, my love, sending you so much love and thank you so much for coming on again.
Thank you, honey. Bye.